Welcome to your field guide to trees. Yeah, no, not those kinds of trees. Your trees in Ancestry, your family tree. Today we're going to look around how to navigate your family tree in Ancestry.com, and we're going to explore a number of tools and resources available to you to make your navigation and your work a little bit more efficient and effective. You may discover there are tools available to you that you're not using, at least not yet. Let's find out as we explore Ancestry trees today in Family Tree 123. So we'll just switch over to the computer and start looking at our tree. And as you can see here, I have the Mills family tree that's open here in the upper left corner. And you can always go up here to the top of your screen and click trees. I happen to have the Mills family tree open, but you can see I have other trees as well. And so we're just going to look at the Mills tree today. Now down here in the left bottom corner, you can see that there's sort of a miniaturized view of the screen. So these larger icons up here are represented down here, and you can see by that white square what we're looking at here. So there are profiles that go down off the bottom of the screen, but I'm not going to show you those because that's my close family members and there's some living people, and we'll just exclude them from the demo today. But you can see that the black one, that is me. That's my profile. I'm the central person because I created this tree for myself. So you can see there's me and then my parents, and then we get up here to my grandparents. And we've got, and it even tells you these are my grandparents, James Ira Mills and Hilda Evelyn Steves. And don't have much going on my mother's side, but that's because this tree is specifically tracing the male side of the line, the Mills family line. So you can look at the tree this way, which is the best way if you're thinking about your ancestors, thinking about who came before, and you can easily click on a profile like Michael C. Steves. If I just click here, it opens up his parents, and then I can grab any blank part of the screen, click the left mouse button, and then move things around on the screen. As you can see, I can just grab and hold and pull that down. And now if I look at David J. Mills and I click here, it will show me his parents. And it actually popped out his siblings here too. That's a big family. So this little arrow here will hide the siblings and bring that back into a better view. Now we can go up here and we can look at Peter's siblings as they pop out here. And again, it's a big family. And then that goes all the way back to Reuben Mills. So this is the way to just sort of navigate around. You can see that some of these other people, the siblings, also have their children listed. So you can open and close that like so. And it's a great way to navigate around. But you can see the tree is not complete because I don't have the children for these family members yet. But this is just a basic overview of navigation. Now you can see that this arrow is green. So what that means is that I have not added parents yet, but these are potential parents. So if you click on that, it will ask you to review or add the details manually about a potential ancestor. I'm not going to do that now. And of course, you can see that we have these green leaves all over the place, and that's to suggest that there's a hint. And so if you want to see that hint, you just click there. It opens the profile, and then it will show you the hint. So now if I want to get back to where I was in the family tree, I'm just going to hit the back arrow, and hopefully I will go right back where I was. Yes, there we are. Now sometimes you may want to be working on a particular person, and so let's just say I wanted to work on Amasa Miller Mills. What you can do is you can go over here on the left menu, and it says Find in Tree. So I'm going to click that, and it brings up the people, the profiles that I've been looking at recently, myself and other relatives here. So if I wanted to see a particular person, I can go Amasa Miller Mills. There, it brings it up there. And when I click that, boom, he becomes the central person in the profile. Just close that window. So now everything is based on Amasa. So here are his parents and his grandparents, and so on and so forth. So now the whole tree is centered around Amasa Miller Mills, and we can open up his siblings and completely flood the screen with all these family members. So that's helpful to know, because you don't always want to know what your relationship is to everybody in the tree. Sometimes it's good to know what the other relationships are as well. And of course, you can see here Amasa's wife, Amelia. Now she's got some people here. So what if we click that? That opens up their children. So this is Amasa and Amelia's children, and they come right across here. So if we do the same with Amasa, that is going to show us the children as well, and his siblings. So these little side people here are an indication of where we can click to look at others. It's a little bit overwhelming, isn't it? All of these options, people to look at, these side panels, opening and closing, suggestions, and so forth. It's quite a lot to take in, but just a little bit of practice and experience, and you'll become a pro being able to navigate around the tree. Now, one thing to notice is that Amasa Miller Mills is the central person right now, the highlighted person, if you will. But if you look down here in the bottom left corner, you can see that my name is there and Amasa's name is there. And I think this is a quick reference from one person to another. So I don't want to show you my family, but I'm going to click on it and I'll let you know what happens. Exactly what I expected to happen happened. If I click down here for Jonathan Mills, it puts me back at the center of the tree. And so I've just gone back here to Amasa. So that's good for our purposes. Now, over here in the left panel, we have a couple of different options. And the first one here gives you different ways of looking at your tree. So as I said a moment ago, we have the vertical tree, which is great for looking at your ancestry. So your Amasa's great-grandparent, his grandparents, his parents, and then himself and his wife. And of course, you can open up the children as well and carry that on. But sometimes a horizontal view is helpful. You can see right away that it's a more efficient way of using the screen space because all of these icons are much smaller, and you can navigate out to the side and back. It's the same family tree, but it's just a more effective use of real estate, if you will, because it helps you to look at your direct ancestors rather than getting so confused by all of the branches of the tree and the siblings that run in every direction. Now, the next option for viewing your family is a fan chart. So if I click here, it will change this into a fan chart. And this is a really great way to see very quickly where you should probably focus your efforts in your family tree. So you can see right away that on the Mills side, the male side of the family, we've got our records are there. Most of the couples are also done on this side of the family, but we don't have the parents of the women from the different relationships. And as I said, that's by design, but I have another tree that has all of the details. But here you can just, quickly see where you need to put in some work, where you need to focus your attention to sort of build out a more well-rounded tree and fill in some of those gaps. And you can see up in the top here, we have fan settings as well. So it's set currently at 5. If I move this to 6, we add another generation and more missing people, but more potential people to add to the chart as well. Anyway, this is just a different way of looking at your family tree. I think the vertical is the most common and the one that you would typically tend to use. Down below that, we have the gallery, and this has to do with media. So you can add memories here, and some of these images here are of members of my family tree, a gravestone. This is my grandmother, Hilda Steves. And then a gravestone for Amasa Miller Mills. And then a number of certificates, birth certificates, death certificates, and so on and so forth. And so these images, some of them I've uploaded, and some of them have been uploaded by other people and attached to their trees as well. So it's a good way to have a look around and see what images are available. Below that, as I showed you, you can find a person in the tree. And there's also, you can list all people if you want, or you can view prioritized people. And so let's just see how we prioritize someone. We'll open Amasa's profile and we'll have a look. Aha, there it is. There's the star. So if you click that, then his profile is prioritized. So you can quickly go and find people based on that priority marking. So let's go back to the tree. And of course, the next thing is the leaf, and we all know that that's all about hints. If you click on that list over here, you get all of your hints for the family. Look, I have 2,138 hints. That's going to take me a bit of time to get that done. Anyway, not all of these are worth adding, but I'm sure the majority of them are great and helpful. So, 107 pages of hints, photos, records, and stories, and member trees. So that's great. So, I mean, that's a very efficient way to work away at your family tree, just to go in and go through those hints one at a time and add them to your family members. Now, below that, we're going to look at those three dots in a second, but underneath that, there's the home, and whoever is the base person in the tree, the tree around whom it is built. In my case, it's me, it's my family tree. If you click this button, it takes you to that home person. So it would reorient the page around me. So I'm going to do that, but I'm just going to show you a fake tree when it comes up, because I don't want you to see my tree. Just as I suspected, you hit the home button and it goes to whoever is the home person in your family tree, most likely yourself. And then we have the plus and minus buttons here, and they do what you imagine. You zoom in or you zoom out. So if you don't have a scroll wheel on your mouse or some other way of zooming in and out, you can just use these buttons here on the left side. Now we're going to go over to this side panel, and we're going to click on these three dots here. And you can see that we have a few options here. If we click invite, this allows us to send an invitation link to family or friends or other genealogists that we know who are also working on the same tree. You can hide living people, that's the default, or you can unhide them. A person can be a contributor or an editor. Those are various different permission levels to be involved. Or if you just send the link and leave it as it is with the guest mode, people will be able to view the tree for free, but they won't be able to make any changes, which is great for family members. If you want them to be able to see your work, but you don't necessarily want them mucking around in the gears, you can invite them to be a guest. You can copy the link and put it places. So that's one way to invite people. Second, we have tree viewing options, and these are pretty straightforward. The relationship line labels, so this is, again, we've got Amasa, his parents and grandparents. If you turn that off, those labels disappear. So, I mean, you can figure out what the relationships are, but it's a little bit neat and tidy and easy if you have that enabled. Always view spouses, it's up to you. Comments, I'm not really sharing with a lot of people, so I'm not worried about comments, but if you had other family members who are editors or contributors, they might be adding a lot of comments, and that could mess up the screen, so you could turn that on or off. And I'm in dark mode, and that's not dark mode, so let's turn that back. So those are your tree options. Next, we have the tree overview. Now this just gives you a snapshot of where you're at with the tree. So the description, recent photos, documents, and then over here, you've got the home person, which is myself, the last viewed person. And then you've got a summary of how many people and photos and records and documents and hints and who you've invited to see your tree. So that's a helpful little overview. Next, we have tree settings. So this is where you can edit the description of your tree, set yourself or someone else as the home person. And then down here, you have manage your hint notifications. and then manage your tree. So you can export this tree as a GEDCOM file. So it's a great way to back up your work. It doesn't save the digital files, things like that, but all of the actual Ancestry data will be saved into a GEDCOM file, a text file, and you can actually re-import it back into Ancestry if something goes terribly wrong and you need to bring it back in again. And then, of course, down at the bottom, here's where you would delete your tree if you decided to do that. We have privacy settings. I've got my tree set to public, this particular tree, but you can also set it to private. And then here we have invite people. So here's another place where you can click the button to invite people to see your tree. If we go back in, we have a print option. Create a keepsake. That would be if you wanted to get a photograph or something else made from the data in your tree. This takes you to a website where they make those kinds of things for a price. And then right here you can view prioritized people. So it gives you a quick way to view only those people who are prioritized. But you can also do that with the Find in the Tree button if you have people who are prioritized. Now I've just switched over to a different tree. This is Mills, Steeves, Jackson, Macquarie. And so this is kind of my complete family tree. You'll notice that there is a little icon here that we didn't have on the other side. And if we click that, you'll note down here, add DNA matches descending from Michael. So this is an indication that there is a DNA test that's been taken and it's been added to this tree. And that was my DNA. And so if you do an Ancestry DNA test, you can integrate it into your family tree. So it will show matches based on the people in the tree. And over here on the left, you'll see we also have a DNA box that can pop out. This shows my matches. So obviously, I'm not going to show you who these people are, but just so that you know, it's a quick link over to the DNA page. And so, to be able to connect other people with the tree is very useful. And that's one of the really powerful features of Ancestry is when you do have the DNA test, you can hopefully find some living ancestors that perhaps you didn't know about, which is always exciting. Now, one other thing that I have here is you can see that on the profile for Michael Steeves, there's this little, let me just zoom in there. It's a little circle with some lines on it. And if you click that, it shows you that he had two spouses, Bessie Steeves and Laura Edith Steeves. So this is just to show you that there's more than one spouse with a particular person. So if I toggle this button here, it will add Laura as well as Bessie. So you can see that Michael was married twice. So this button here opens the siblings. This button here opens the potential other spouse. Not potential, opens the other spouse. Sometimes when you click this, you may find that somebody has attached another person as a spouse, and the individual actually only does have one spouse. And so it's a mistake, or it could be a name variation. I've seen that many times where, if it's, say, Mary Elizabeth Mills, and in one census record, she puts her name as Mary Mills, and in a birth or a death record, it's recorded as Elizabeth Mills. Sometimes that happens. And so it looks like they're two different people, but it could just be a first name, middle name, or it could be, Mary Smith, her maiden name, instead of the married name Mills. There's a lot of reasons why sometimes multiple spouses may become attached to a profile. So that button there gives you a little bit of a heads up that there's something there. It could be perfectly natural, or it could be a mistake that needs to be cleared up. Actually, I can show you an example here. We were just looking at Michael. If we go up through the family tree a little bit, here's another option here. And look, we've got Sarah Ricker and Sarah Ricker as spouses for Jacob. Obviously, they're the same person. So somebody must have added a second profile somewhere along the way. Somehow it's gotten into my tree here. So I would want to go in and merge those two people together. But we're not going to do that today, because today we're focused on navigation. And while we're still navigating around this tree view, Up here in the top right corner, there's a couple of other buttons. Find in tree. That's exactly what we found over here on the left side, find in tree. It's just a different way to find it. Invite, again, same thing. We saw that over in the left side. And so you can invite people to view your tree or to edit the tree and so on. Activity. Now that's a different button. You can set yourself tasks, which I think is very helpful. Maybe you're exploring one branch of your family tree and you get to a point where you have to stop, and then you maybe want to come back to it. And so that's a good way to do it, is to be able to just write yourself a task so that you remember. And then changes. So if you're collaborating with somebody else in working on the tree, maybe a relative, someone else in your family is also editing the tree. This is where you'll see the changes. And then viewers, you'll be able to see who you've shared the tree with. And then finally, we have this tree rating button. And if you click that, it lets you know how well they think you're doing with your tree. So if you're adding people and they don't have any records or source material attached to the name, it's just a name and a date, then that's not really very good. So this is rated as strong, because I have everybody has records and documentation, and it's pretty carefully curated. Here they've got some suggestions of people that we might want to look into. They might have some errors, maybe a duplicate spouse, for example. And then down here is the upgrade for Pro if you want them to help you correct those errors. Now there's one more thing that I wanted to point out while we're looking at the family tree in this vertical format, and it has to do with maiden names. Now, the standard for sort of a handwritten family tree is to put the a woman's maiden name in brackets and then their married name behind it. So, if we just look at David J. Mills here, his wife's name is Alice Elsie Horseman. So normally what you would do if you were doing it by hand, you would put Alice Elsie Horseman in brackets and then Mills as her last name. But when you look at the family tree in this vertical layout, you can see right away why Ancestry prefers you to use the maiden name for a woman in the family tree. Because here you can see that if we had Alice Elsie Mills, then we would sort of be thinking about her in terms of the Mills line of the family. But because we've got her maiden name, the profile's in her maiden name, then we can immediately see that these are her parents, and obviously the father's name is going to be, the last name will be Horseman. We go up here to Peter Mills and Rhoda Constantine. Again, this is her maiden name, and then we've got her mother's maiden name as well. So it's a superior way to keep track of your family tree and to make sure that you can follow those family lines, both for the male side and for the female side of the family. Some people get a little frustrated about that. I mean, if it's a private tree and nobody else is looking at it, you can do whatever you want. But if it's a public tree, you really should go with the Ancestry standard, which is to list married women by their maiden names, and then add the married name as an alternate in the profile. So there you have it. Navigating your family tree in Ancestry. I hope I've answered your questions. If I didn't, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Stay tuned to this channel for more videos and tutorials on Ancestry and other genealogy software. And if you think I've earned it, give me a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time on Family Tree 123.